May Allah bless you for being part of this journey. Remember, true success is not in wealth or status, but in a heart at peace with its Creator. Keep your faith strong, your earnings pure, your hands generous, and your trust firm in Allah. If this reminder touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so others may also find light in their moments of darkness. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum. May Allah fill your life with mercy, patience, and endless barakah. Money is a test, not a trophy. It is a tool placed in our hands by Allah to see how we handle it, whether we rise through gratitude or fall through greed. Every coin that passes through our fingers carries a question. Will you use it for good, or will you let it control your heart? When Allah blesses us with wealth, it's not always a sign of His pleasure, and when He withholds it, it's not a sign of His anger. Sometimes the richest person is the one being tested the most, and the one with little is the one most at peace. Wealth can build a home, feed a family, or change a life, but it can also blind the heart and destroy humility if we forget the one who gave it. Allah reminds us in the Quran, and know that your wealth and your children are but a trial, and that Allah has with Him a great reward. Surah Al-Anfal 8:28. This verse is not a condemnation of wealth, but a reminder of responsibility. What matters is not the number in your account, but the intention in your heart. Are you grateful or proud? Are you generous or greedy? Do you see money as a bridge to goodness, or as a measure of your worth? Many people believe that the more they earn, the more they will be respected. They chase wealth as if it guarantees happiness, forgetting that true happiness cannot be purchased. You can fill your house with gold and still sleep without peace. You can drive the finest car and still feel empty inside. Because peace is not found in possessions, it is found in remembrance of Allah. When your heart remembers Him, you see money for what it truly is, a servant, not a master. The moment we start defining ourselves by what we own, we lose sight of who we are. Allah did not create us to collect wealth, but to collect good deeds. The value of your life is not in the price of your belongings, but in the purity of your intentions. If wealth makes you arrogant, it is a curse. If it makes you humble and generous, it becomes a blessing. That is the difference between success in this world and success in the hereafter. Think of Qarun, the man from the time of Prophet Musa a.s., who was given unimaginable wealth. His keys alone were so heavy that a group of strong men could barely carry them. But his heart grew proud, and he said, I was only given it because of the knowledge I have. Surah Al-Qasas 28:78. He forgot that his wealth was from Allah, not from himself. And so, Allah caused the earth to swallow him and his treasures, a powerful reminder that arrogance with wealth leads only to destruction. Contrast that with Uthman ibn Affan one of the greatest companions of the Prophet. He was wealthy too, but his wealth never controlled him. When the Muslims were in need, he gave freely, equipping an entire army, purchasing wells for the poor, feeding those in hardship. His generosity became a source of reward that outlived his time on earth. This is the example we are called to follow, to hold wealth in our hands, not in our hearts. The Prophet warned us, every nation has a trial, and the trial of my nation is wealth. Tirmidhi, our test is not poverty, but abundance. When Allah opens the doors of provision, do we become thankful or heedless? Do we increase in remembrance or forget the giver? Some people pray earnestly when they have nothing, but when wealth comes, their hearts turn cold. That is why we must never let money distance us from Allah. No matter how successful you become, bow your head before the one who made it possible. Remember that wealth is temporary. Today it is in your pocket. Tomorrow it might be in someone else's. How fragile it is, one illness, one accident, one downturn, and it can vanish. But the deeds you do with it, the charity you give, the orphans you feed, the hearts you comfort, those are eternal. They remain written for you when everything else fades. Sometimes Allah gives us wealth to see if we will share it. Other times He withholds it to see if we will trust Him. Both are tests of faith. When you are given, show gratitude. When you are denied, show patience. In both situations, you are being purified. The key is not how much you have, but how much you rely on Allah. Because when you rely on Him, you will never be poor even if the world calls you so. A person once asked a scholar, "What is the best way to protect my wealth?" The scholar replied, "Give some of it in charity. What you give for the sake of Allah is the only wealth that is truly yours, because it will meet you in the hereafter." How beautifully simple and true. Every coin spent in the path of Allah multiplies, not decreases. It is like planting a seed that grows into a tree of mercy and reward. If you ever feel pride in your earnings, remind yourself that everything you have is on loan. Allah can take it back at any moment. And if you ever feel envy towards someone richer, remind yourself that you do not know the weight of their test. What appears as ease might be a burden, and what appears as struggle might be a hidden blessing. Allah distributes wealth with perfect wisdom. Trust His plan, so keep your heart free and your hands generous. Earn with honesty, spend with purpose, and never forget the poor and needy. For every dirham you give sincerely, Allah replaces it with peace, contentment, and reward far beyond what you could imagine. The real success is not having much, but being grateful for what you have. The real richness is not in possessions, but in a heart connected to Allah. Because at the end of life, the money you earned will remain behind, but the deeds you did with it will travel with you to the grave. And that is the moment you will realize money was never the prize, it was always the test. True richness lies in contentment. It is not measured by the size of our homes or the weight of our gold, but by the tranquility of our hearts. The Prophet said, "Richness is not having many possessions, but being content within." This single statement holds the cure for much of the anxiety, restlessness, and emptiness that plague our hearts today. In a world that constantly pushes us to want more, to compare more, and to chase endlessly after the next thing, this hadith is like a soft whisper reminding us peace is not found in ownership, it is found in gratitude. Every soul desires comfort, but not every soul finds it. Many believe that happiness lies at the end of wealth, yet the wealthiest of people often confess to feeling a void that no money can fill. You can live in the largest mansion and still have sleepless nights. You can travel the world and still feel lost. You can fill your home with treasures, but if your heart is empty, what have you truly gained? The heart that is content, even with little, is richer than the one drowning in abundance yet thirsting for more. Contentment, Kana, is one of the greatest blessings Allah can bestow upon a believer. It is a light that softens the heart, a shield that guards against envy, and a mirror that reflects gratitude. When Allah places contentment in your heart, you begin to see His wisdom in every situation. You stop questioning why someone else has more and start thanking Him for what you already have. You stop chasing what the world calls success and begin seeking what Allah calls success, peace of mind, sincerity, and nearness to Him. The pursuit of more never ends. The one who has a little wants more, and the one who has much still feels it is not enough. It's a race with no finish line. The Prophet warned us about this when he said, "If the son of Adam were given a valley full of gold, he would wish for a second, and nothing fills the belly of the son of Adam except dust." This is the reality of human desire, endless unless we consciously tame it. True peace begins when we stop counting what we don't have and start cherishing what we do. Sometimes we think we need a change in our circumstances to be happy, a better job, a bigger house, a newer car, or more recognition. But contentment teaches us that we don't need more to be grateful. We need gratitude to feel we have enough. When you wake up healthy, when you eat with your family, when you breathe without pain, when you can smile at a friend, these are priceless gifts. Yet how often do we overlook them, blinded by the illusion that happiness lies somewhere else, in something else? Allah reminds us in the Quran, and He found you poor and made you self-sufficient. Surah Ad-Duha 93:8. Self-sufficient not necessarily in material wealth, but in heart. The Prophet himself lived simply, with minimal possessions, yet he was the most peaceful and content of all creation. His home was humble, his food was simple, but his heart was rich beyond measure. That is the model of true wealth, a heart that needs little because it relies fully on Allah. There is a beauty in simplicity that modern life often hides. The more we clutter our lives with things, the more we burden our hearts with worry. Every possession demands care, every status demands maintenance. But when you detach yourself from unnecessary desires, you gain something far greater: freedom. Freedom from comparison, from greed, from the endless pressure to be seen, to impress, to prove your worth. Your worth is not in what you own, it is in who you are before Allah. Envy is the enemy of contentment. It steals joy and poisons gratitude. When we look at others with jealousy, we forget that everyone is tested differently. You might see someone's comfort, but not their pain. You might see their wealth, but not their sleepless nights. Allah, in His perfect wisdom, has distributed His blessings in different forms: wealth to some, health to others, knowledge to another, patience to yet another. If we could see the full picture of every life, we would fall to our knees in gratitude for our own. There are moments in life when you might have less than you wish for, but that is precisely where your faith is strengthened. To say Alhamdulillah when things are easy is gratitude. To say it when things are hard is contentment. And that level of trust in Allah brings peace no luxury can buy. When you are pleased with Allah's decree, He fills your heart with light. As the Prophet said, be content with what Allah has given you, and you will be the richest of people. Contentment does not mean laziness or giving up on effort. It means working hard while trusting Allah's plan. It is knowing that your sustenance is already written, and that chasing it with greed will not increase it. It is striving with sincerity, then resting your heart in the assurance that Allah is fair, that He knows what you need, and that His timing is always perfect. When you live with this trust, every success becomes a gift, and every delay a lesson. Look at the lives of the prophets. They faced hardship, loss, and struggle, yet they never complained. Their contentment was rooted in their closeness to Allah. Prophet Ayyub lost everything: his wealth, his health, his family, yet his heart remained filled with gratitude. He said, "Indeed, my Lord has been good to me." What kind of strength allows such words? It is the strength of contentment, the peace that comes from knowing Allah never wrongs His servants. When your heart is content, even a simple meal feels like a feast. A small home feels like a palace. The smile of a loved one feels like treasure. You begin to see Allah's mercy in every corner of your life. That is richness, a wealth that no thief can steal, no market can crash, and no loss can erase. Because it lives within you, guarded by faith. In moments of hardship, whisper to yourself, Allah knows best. And in moments of ease, say, Alhamdulillah. This balance is what keeps the believer steady, never too proud in joy, never too broken in sorrow. It is the peace of the heart that beats with trust, no matter what the world brings. So slow down, breathe, and look at what you already have. The air you breathe, the love around you, the faith that guides you, these are blessings beyond measure. The world will always chase what glitters, but you, dear soul, choose what lasts. Choose peace over possessions, gratitude over greed, and faith over fear. Because when your heart is content with Allah's decree, You already possess everything that truly matters. Don't let money own you. It should remain your servant, not your master. The moment it starts ruling your heart, your peace begins to disappear. Allah has given us wealth not to enslave us, but to see how we handle it, how we earn it, how we spend it, and whether it draws us closer to Him or further away. When we chase wealth blindly, forgetting the one who provides it, we lose sight of purpose. Our days become a race for more, our nights sleepless with worry, and our hearts hollow, even when our hands are full. The truth is, the pursuit of wealth in itself is not wrong. Islam never condemns effort, ambition, or success. But it warns us of the danger of letting wealth define our worth. When money becomes your identity, you begin to measure people by possessions, not by principles. You begin to respect those who have and overlook those who have not. You start competing not for goodness, but for status. And that competition never ends because someone will always have more. The heart that worships money will never find rest. The Prophet said, "Wretched is the slave of dinar, dirham, fine clothes and garments. If he is given, he is pleased, but if he is not given, he is displeased." Bukhari, how profound these words are. They describe the modern human condition perfectly. So many live enslaved to wealth, controlled by possessions and defined by material gain. They rise in the morning thinking of profits and sleep at night dreaming of more. But no matter how much they acquire, the hunger remains. That is not wealth. That is captivity disguised as success. Money should be a tool, a means to comfort, not the cause of corruption. It can buy comfort, but not peace, luxury, but not love, entertainment, but not purpose. When your heart depends on it, your happiness becomes fragile, easily shattered when it decreases. But when your heart depends on Allah, you find calm even in scarcity. The believer's true stability comes not from what's in his pocket, but from what's in his heart. Allah reminds us in the Quran, "O mankind, you are the ones in need of Allah, while Allah is the free of need, the praiseworthy." Surah Fatir 35:15. No matter how much we own, we remain needy before Him. We depend on His mercy, not on our money. Every coin we earn, every opportunity we seize, every breath we take, all of it is by His permission. The one who forgets this truth begins to act as if wealth is permanent, but the one who remembers it stays humble, grateful, and grounded. Many people chase wealth hoping it will give them power, but real power is in self-control. The Prophet said, "The strong man is not the one who can overpower others, but the one who controls himself when angry." The same principle applies to desire. The strong believer is not the one who hoards wealth, but the one who controls his desire for it. When you master your desires, you master your destiny, because the heart that can say enough is the heart that is truly free. Think of how easily we let money dictate our emotions. A small loss makes us anxious, a small gain makes us proud. We begin to see ourselves through the lens of numbers, forgetting that our value is not written in currency but in character. If you lose money, you lose nothing eternal. If you lose contentment, you lose everything. This world will always fluctuate, markets rise and fall. Opportunities come and go, but your peace should not depend on it. Keep your heart steady with remembrance, and you'll never collapse with the world's changes. Use your earnings to please Allah, not to impress people. There is no blessing in wealth spent to show off, and no loss in wealth spent for His sake. When you spend for Allah, even the smallest act, feeding someone hungry, helping a relative, supporting a good cause, becomes a mountain of reward in the hereafter. The Prophet said, "Charity does not decrease wealth." What a powerful truth! Every time you give sincerely, Allah multiplies it in unseen ways, sometimes in your health, sometimes in your peace, sometimes in your children's future. But when you spend to impress, your wealth turns into a burden. The need to display success becomes an endless show that drains both money and soul. You buy to be seen, not to be satisfied. You seek admiration, not contentment. And even after all that, people's opinions shift like the wind. The one who praised you today may forget you tomorrow, but Allah never forgets any act done sincerely for Him, even if it goes unseen by the world. There is wisdom in earning wealth through halal means, in striving honestly, in building a life of comfort for your family. Islam encourages productivity, not idleness, but the key is balance, working with effort, but resting your heart in trust. Because if your income becomes your identity, then when it fluctuates, your peace will collapse with it. The one who builds his heart around Allah remains unshaken, rich or poor, praised or criticized, because his foundation is divine. The Prophet lived simply, though he could have lived in luxury. He gave away what he had, slept on a mat, and smiled with peace that no king could match. When asked why, he said, "What have I to do with this world? I am like a traveler who rests under the shade of a tree for a while, then goes on his way." That is the mindset of freedom, to use this world without being owned by it. To hold wealth in your hand lightly, knowing it will not travel with you beyond the grave. Remember that your sustenance is written. No amount of greed will increase it, and no act of generosity will decrease it. Allah has decreed every provision long before you were born. So instead of chasing it with anxiety, pursue it with dignity, earn through honesty, spend with humility, and share with compassion. When you do that, wealth becomes a blessing instead of a trap. And if you ever fear losing what you have, remember nothing leaves your hand except by Allah's wisdom. Sometimes He takes to purify, not to punish. Sometimes He withholds to protect, not to deprive. The believer understands that every change in wealth is an opportunity to prove trust in the provider. The world may see you as rich or poor, but Allah sees your sincerity. That is what truly matters. So do not let money own you. Own your soul with gratitude, your time with purpose, and your wealth with wisdom. Let your heart bow only to Allah, and use every blessing as a means to draw nearer to Him. Because the moment you master your desire, you reclaim your peace, and that peace is worth more than all the gold in the world. For when your heart bows only to Allah, no wealth on earth can ever enslave you. Blessings come from purity. Barakah is not measured by numbers, it is measured by peace. You can have a little and live with ease, or have a lot and still feel empty. True wealth is not in what fills your hands, but in what fills your heart with serenity. Allah places barakah in the lives of those whose earnings are pure, whose dealings are honest, and whose gratitude never fades. A single halal coin earned with integrity carries more light and blessings than a mountain of haram wealth that darkens the soul. When Allah blesses something with barakah, it expands beyond measure. You may see it as small, but it carries immense goodness. You eat a simple meal and feel satisfied. You earn a modest income and find it enough for your family. You sleep at night with peace in your heart, free from guilt and anxiety. That is barakah, unseen yet powerful, subtle yet transformative. But when barakah is removed, even great wealth loses its sweetness. You may have abundance but live in constant worry. You may eat well but feel no satisfaction. You may acquire more but still feel that something is missing. That something is purity. Allah reminds us in the Quran, "O you who believe, eat from the good things which we have provided for you, and be grateful to Allah if it is indeed Him that you worship." Surah Al-Baqarah 2, 172. The emphasis is on good things, halal, clean, pure sources of provision. Because what we consume becomes part of us. When we feed our bodies with what is haram, our hearts become clouded, our prayers lose their strength, and our blessings begin to fade. The Prophet said, "A man may travel far, disheveled and dusty. raising his hands to the sky, saying, O Lord, but his food is haram, his drink is haram, his clothing is haram, and he has been nourished with haram. So how can his supplication be accepted? Muslim. This powerful hadith reminds us that purity in our earnings directly affects our relationship with Allah. You cannot expect divine acceptance from impure sources. You cannot fill your stomach with haram and hope your heart will be content. Purity brings light. Impurity brings darkness. Every transaction, every deal, every coin, it either brings you closer to Allah or distances you from Him. Earning halal might be harder, but it carries dignity. There is honor in working sincerely, in earning little with honesty rather than much with deception. The Prophet said, no one has ever eaten a better meal than that which he has earned by working with his own hands. Bukhari. How beautiful it is when the sweat of effort becomes a form of worship. When every moment spent striving is recorded as a good deed because your intention is pure and your means are clean. Sometimes we see people prosper through dishonest ways and it can tempt the heart. But remember, what begins with deceit never ends in peace. That wealth may glitter for a while, but it carries no barakah. It becomes a source of anxiety, argument, and loss. Allah may allow it for a time, but not as a gift, rather as a test. The Prophet said, indeed, Allah is pure and only accepts that which is pure. Muslim, He does not bless wealth earned through injustice, corruption, or deceit. Such wealth may multiply, but its barakah will vanish through illness, conflict, or sudden misfortune. On the other hand, the one who fears Allah in his dealings, even when no one is watching, will find barakah in the smallest earnings. Allah opens unseen doors for those who remain pure. A person who avoids haram for the sake of Allah never loses, for Allah Himself becomes his provider. When you give up a dishonest opportunity, it may seem like a loss, but it is actually the beginning of divine gain. Allah replaces it with something better, sometimes in ways you never imagined. Barakah is not only in wealth, it is in time, health, relationships, and peace of mind. You may have little time yet achieve much. You may eat little yet feel full. You may have few possessions yet live in happiness. That is the quiet miracle of barakah. It is a hidden blessing that multiplies goodness in everything it touches. But purity is the key to unlocking it. When your income is halal, your home feels light. When your dealings are honest, your sleep is peaceful. When your heart is grateful, your provisions expand. It is said that one of the signs of barakah is ease without excess. Things fall into place with grace, without struggle or greed. The heart feels content even with little, because Allah fills it with satisfaction, whereas a lack of barakah brings constant strain. No matter how much one earns, it never feels enough. This is why gratitude and purity must walk hand in hand. Gratitude increases what you have, and purity preserves it. Allah says, if you are grateful, I will surely increase you. Surah Ibrahim 14:7. Reflect for a moment on your earnings, your spending, and your heart. Ask yourself, do I seek Allah's pleasure through my work? Do I avoid what displeases Him even if it means earning less? Am I grateful for what I already have, or do I constantly complain? These questions define whether you are living in barakah or chasing a mirage. Because true wealth is not about having more, it is about being blessed in what you have. The world today teaches us to pursue quantity, more income, more possessions, more status, but Islam teaches us to pursue quality, purity, sincerity, and gratitude. One coin of halal wealth may sustain a family and bring peace, while thousands of haram coins can destroy generations. Choose purity, even if it seems small, for Allah multiplies the blessings of every pure act. There is a story of a man who once refused a dishonest business deal, even though it meant losing a large profit. That night, he slept peacefully. The next morning, he found that what he had lost came back to him in another way with even more barakah. This is how Allah rewards honesty. What you sacrifice for His sake never goes to waste. The Prophet said, whoever gives up something for the sake of Allah, Allah will compensate him with something better. Ahmad, this promise never fails, so keep your earnings clean, your dealings fair, and your heart sincere. Never allow greed to tempt you into the forbidden, for what is earned unlawfully brings no joy. Feed your family with halal, and you will see peace in their faces. Give with gratitude, and you will see blessings multiply. Seek purity in what you earn, what you eat, and what you spend, and Allah will place light in every corner of your life. Because barakah is not found in how much you hold, but in how purely you live, and when your wealth is pure, your heart will always be at peace. Spend with purpose, not pride. Giving is not a loss, it is a secret transaction with Allah, where every sincere act is multiplied beyond measure. When you give, you are not reducing what you own, you are planting seeds for eternal reward. Every act of charity cleanses the soul and purifies the heart. The Prophet said, charity does not decrease wealth. This truth may seem hidden to the eyes of the material world, but those who give for the sake of Allah witness it in ways that can only be described as divine. Peace in the heart, light in the home, ease in life, and blessings in every corner of existence. We live in a world that teaches us to accumulate, to compete, and to display. But Islam teaches us to give, to share, and to remain humble. Spending should not be a means of pride, it should be a form of worship. When we spend only to impress others, to show that we can afford, that we are important, that we are ahead, our spending becomes hollow. It feeds the ego but starves the soul. True believers spend not to be seen, but to please Allah, who knows every hidden intention. Allah says, if you disclose your charitable expenditures, they are good. But if you conceal them and give them to the poor, it is better for you, and He will remove from you some of your misdeeds. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:271. Every coin spent sincerely for His sake becomes a shield on the day of judgment. Every act of generosity builds bridges between hearts, softens pride, and strengthens faith. When you give, you are not doing a favor, you are fulfilling a duty. For wealth is a trust, not a possession. Allah has placed it in your hands to see how you use it. Some are tested with poverty, others with prosperity. Both are trials of gratitude and patience. The poor are tested in endurance. The rich are tested in generosity. Giving with pride destroys the blessing of the act. When charity becomes a tool to seek praise, it loses its soul. The Prophet warned us about those who give to be seen, saying that on the day of judgment they will be told, "You did it so people would say you were generous, and they said it. So there is no reward for you today." Muslim, what a loss that would be to spend in this life for applause, only to find emptiness in the next. Real giving is quiet, humble, and sincere. It is done from the heart, expecting nothing but Allah's mercy in return. When you spend with purpose, every action becomes meaningful. Feeding a hungry person becomes worship. Helping a struggling student becomes charity. Supporting your family becomes reward. Even a smile, even a kind word, counts as giving. The Prophet said, "Your smile in the face of your brother is charity." Tirmidhi, this is how Islam elevates generosity. It is not limited to wealth, but extends to all forms of kindness. When you live with a giving heart, Allah enriches your soul even if your pockets are not full. There is a hidden beauty in generosity. It heals not only the receiver but the giver. The act of giving removes the stains of greed and selfishness that accumulate in the heart. It teaches detachment from materialism and reminds you that nothing you own truly belongs to you. Everything you have, Your wealth, your time, your strength is a loan from Allah. The more you share, the more He entrusts you with. It is said that wealth given in Allah's way is like water flowing. It purifies as it moves. But wealth hoarded out of fear stagnates, bringing anxiety and restlessness. Sometimes we fear giving because we think we will have less, but Allah promises the opposite. He says, and whatever you spend, He will replace it, and He is the best of providers. Surah Sabah 34:39. Every time you give for His sake, something greater replaces it, perhaps not immediately in wealth, but in tranquility, in health, in ease, in unseen blessings that surround your life. There are people who earn much but never find comfort, and others who earn little but live with immense peace. That is Barakah, the quiet miracle that descends upon those who spend with sincerity. Generosity should begin at home. Sometimes we overlook our closest family while giving to the world. The Prophet said, "The best charity is that given to one's family when one is in need." Ahmad. Charity begins not in grand gestures, but in everyday compassion, providing for your family with love, helping your parents with kindness, giving your spouse comfort, guiding your children with patience. When you spend in these ways, you are not merely fulfilling duty, you are earning reward. But giving does not end with family. It extends to the forgotten, the voiceless, the needy, and the broken. It reaches the orphan who prays for someone to remember them, the widow who wipes her tears in silence, the laborer who works all day for a meal. When your spending touches such lives, it is recorded in the heavens as mercy. The Prophet said, "The most beloved of people to Allah are those who are most beneficial to people." Tabarani. So be a source of benefit, a channel of goodness, a vessel of compassion. Never underestimate the impact of a small act done with sincerity. The Prophet said that a woman was forgiven her sins because she gave water to a thirsty dog, and another was punished because she starved a cat. Allah does not look at the size of your gift, but at the purity of your heart. A single coin given with sincerity can outweigh mountains of wealth given for show. The heart that gives freely for Allah never grows poor, it becomes a magnet for divine mercy. To spend with purpose is to live with awareness that every blessing you have is an opportunity to bless someone else. Every moment, every possession, every talent can be turned into an act of worship if used sincerely. When you give, do not give to gain recognition, give to gain nearness to Allah. When you help, do not look for gratitude from others, seek acceptance from the one who sees all. And when you sacrifice, do not count what you lose, remember what you gain. Giving purifies wealth just as fasting purifies the soul. It keeps the heart soft, the hands open, and the conscience alive. A society that gives sincerely becomes filled with light. Its people care for one another, its hearts are united, and its streets echo with mercy. Imagine a world where every person gave not for pride, but for purpose. What peace would fill the earth, what beauty would fill our hearts. So give, and Allah will give you more. Spend with purpose, not pride. Let your generosity be quiet, your intention pure, and your heart sincere. Because wealth spent for Allah never leaves you. It travels ahead, waiting for you in the hereafter, multiplied in reward and wrapped in mercy. For every hand that gives for Allah's sake, 10 doors of mercy are opened, and that is the wealth that never ends. Trust Allah, not your wallet. When fear of poverty creeps into your heart, when uncertainty clouds your future, and when your income seems to shrink, remember it is not your job that sustains you, it is Allah. He is our Razak, the provider, the one who feeds the bird before it leaves its nest, the one who sends rain to the dry earth and life to the barren heart. Your provision is not in the hands of people, nor tied to the balance in your account. It is written for you before you were even born. There are moments in life when fear whispers, "What if I lose my job?" What if the business fails? What if I cannot provide? These are the whispers of Shaitan, who wants to make you forget the mercy of your Lord. Allah says Satan threatens you with poverty and orders you to immorality, while Allah promises you forgiveness from him and bounty. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:268. Shaitan tries to convince you that security lies in numbers, but Allah reminds you that security lies in faith. The more you trust him, the more peace you find, even when the world seems uncertain. When you trust your wallet, you panic when it's empty. When you trust Allah, you find calm even when it's empty, because you know He never leaves you without what you truly need. Sometimes Allah withholds to protect you, not to punish you. He may delay a blessing to purify your intention, or close one door only to open a better one. Every moment of difficulty is a test of the heart. Will you trust what you see, or will you trust the one you cannot see, but who sees you always? The Prophet said, if you were to rely upon Allah with the reliance He is due, He would provide for you as He provides for the birds. They go out hungry in the morning and return with full bellies in the evening. Tirmidhi. Birds do not sit still, waiting for provision to fall from the sky. They move, they seek, but their hearts are at ease. They do not hoard or despair, for they know sustenance is written. That is tawakkul, trust combined with effort. You work, but you do not worry. You plan, but you do not panic, because you know that behind every plan is the plan of Allah. Trusting Allah does not mean abandoning effort. It means doing your part with sincerity, then surrendering the results to Him. The Prophet tied his camel before he prayed, teaching us that trust is not laziness. It is action followed by surrender. We do what is in our hands, then rest our hearts in His hands. And when things don't go as planned, the believer does not lose hope. He knows that what missed him was never meant for him, and what reached him could never have missed him. Allah's promise is clear, and whoever puts his trust in Allah, then He will suffice him. Surah At-Talaq 65:3. To be sufficed by Allah means to be cared for in ways you may not understand. It means that even in loss there is protection, even in delay there is wisdom, even in poverty there is purification. Sometimes Allah tests your reliance by shaking what you depend on, so you realize how fragile it is compared to His strength. The world teaches us to trust our qualifications, our savings, our connections. But these are merely tools, not sources. The true source is Allah. You can lose a job, but not your provision. You can lose money, but not your destiny. Provision is not limited to salary. It can come through health, kindness, unexpected help, or peace of mind. There are people with millions who live in fear of losing it, and others with little who sleep peacefully because their trust lies in the giver, not the gift. Sometimes we confuse effort with control. We think the harder we hold on, the safer we are. But the truth is, security comes not from what you hold, but from whom you hold on to. If your heart is tied to your wealth, you will live in fear. But if your heart is tied to Allah, you will live in peace. When you lose something of this world, remind yourself it was never truly yours. It was a trust returned to its owner. Fear of poverty can make a person compromise their values, chase haram shortcuts, or lose sight of what truly matters. But remember, nothing you earn through sin will ever bring peace. What is written for you will come in halal ways if you remain patient and trust in Allah. The Prophet said, no soul will die until it has received all of its provision, even if it is slow in coming. So fear Allah and seek provision in a beautiful way. Ibn Majah, there is comfort in knowing that your rizq is already written. You don't have to chase it with desperation, you have to approach it with faith. There are times when Allah will strip away what you rely on so that you return to relying on Him. You may lose income but gain perspective. You may face scarcity but discover generosity. You may feel uncertain but grow in sincerity. These are the gifts hidden within hardship. the believer knows that the loss of worldly comfort can be the beginning of spiritual richness. The heart that trusts Allah sees every challenge as a message of mercy. Come closer to me, depend on me, speak to me. It begins to find sweetness even in struggle, knowing that the one who brought you to it will carry you through it. And when relief finally comes, and it always does, it humbles you. You realize that it was never your strength, your skill, or your status that sustained you. It was always His mercy. Gratitude deepens when you recognize that every meal, every breath, every opportunity comes from Him. You start seeing His generosity in the smallest moments: a friend's help, a stranger's smile, a problem solved in unexpected ways. These are all signs that He is with you, guiding and sustaining you through every season of life. So, when the whisper of fear tells you, "What if you run out?" respond with faith. Allah is enough for me, and He is the best disposer of affairs. Surah Al-Imran 3:173. Remind yourself that the one who created you never forgets you. The one who fed you yesterday will feed you tomorrow. Your wealth may fluctuate, but His mercy never does. A heart that trusts in Allah walks calmly through storms. It no longer trembles at the thought of loss, for it knows that every provision has a purpose and every delay has wisdom. When you surrender to Allah, you are not giving up control, you are handing it back to the one who always had it. For when your heart trusts the provider more than the provision, you will find a peace that no wealth can ever buy. May Allah bless you for being part of this journey. Remember, true success is not in wealth or status, but in a heart at peace with its Creator. Keep your faith strong, your earnings pure, your hands generous, and your trust firm in Allah. If this reminder touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so others may also find light in their moments of darkness. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum. May Allah fill your life with mercy, patience, and endless barakah.